Tasha Alexander is with us. She's a historical mystery fiction writer, right?
That's right.
Here in Chicago. You talk about writing as being one of the best jobs out there. What's so great about being a writer?
Well, first and most obviously, you can stay at home and work in your pajamas, which particularly on a snowy, cold Chicago winter day.
Yeah, I've tried that here. It doesn't really
doesn't
go over very well.
That's
No.
not fair. Who do we talk to change that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great, and it's great to be at home,
Yeah.
and it's great to earn your living making things up if you like making things up, which
Yeah.
obviously I do, or I would consider this soul crushing. But it's challenging too to work at home because of course you never leave work.
Right.
You're always
right.
at work.
And you also say it's a very isolating endeavor.
It absolutely is, because when you are deep in writing a novel, you have tunnel vision. You know, the world is going on around you, but you really are so focused on what you're doing that you barely hear people talking to you. And nobody can write your book for you.
Yeah.
You have to, when you're having a bad day, there's nobody that you can call on to kind of come in and figure out what happens next. You have to, you're on your own. It's just you.
And you're not the only writer in your family. Your husband is a writer, and what, brother-in-law is a writer?
Brother-in-law, yep, Lee Child and Andrew Grant, the Grant boys.
Yeah.
My husband Andrew writes thrillers, and Lee obviously writes the phenomenal Reacher series.
So is that kind of a juggling act with you and your husband? You have same writing styles? You write at the same time of the day? I mean, how does that work?
We don't. We are pretty much diametric opposites. I like to get up, hit the ground running, and start writing right away. My view is that if I get distracted by other things, I'll never sit down and write. He is the opposite. He likes to go through the day. He really works more at night. Sometimes we have actually passed in the hallway in the morning, me getting up and him coming to bed. So.
Wow, he'll write that late.
Yes, he will write all night. I will write all day.
He's the night owl. You're the early bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So he's a writer, and you mentioned your brother-in-law is a writer. What's that like when you all get together at family gatherings?
Well, it's fantastic because we're all interested in the same profession. We're all engaged in it actively, and we all understand the whole publication process. We understand the writing part and the promotional part and just getting through the stages of publication. And so it's really great to not, writers are fairly neurotic people. So to have other people in your family who understand that without having to have it explained to them, it's fantastic.
You said your husband is a thriller writer.
That's right.
How does that differ from the mystery
The
murder
best
mysteries?
explanation I ever heard, and I can't remember who to credit with this, is that the mystery is the puzzle that you're trying to solve, and a thriller is the bomb's going to go off and you need to stop it. So with the mystery, the bomb's already gone off.
Okay.
We want to figure out who said it.
Right, who said it? And then the thriller is the bomb going to go off?
That's right.
Yeah, and who's going to die there? Your favorite PBS show? It's not necessarily a mystery, but what are some of your favorite shows?
My absolute favorite is Masterpiece. I love Masterpiece. I love the old ones like The Pallisers and Forsyte Saga and Brideshead Revisited. And of course now we have Downton Abbey, which is so fun, especially for someone who writes historicals. It's so great to see something really catch the public's attention that is set in the past.
Yeah, and was there one thing that drew you to writing historical fiction?
I think I just always loved history. I always felt slightly disjointed in my century. I love the politics and the social mores. I love everything about the past, and I had lots of different time periods. So the best way to really kind of inhabit that is to write about it.
Yeah, Foyle's War. I know it's a favorite of yours on PBS. It's a favorite of mine. What do you like about it?
I love the characters. I love the initial setup. I love the idea that you have this guy who's fought in the First World War, who wants to get back into the action, but they keep him back in England because he's a detective. And the idea that you can't, just because there's a war going on, that doesn't mean that you let people get away with crimes locally.
Right. Murders were happening in the middle of the war.
Absolutely. And there's some great episodes with that somebody looks like they're killed in an air raid, but actually they've been murdered.
And I love the old cars.
Yes.
I mean, if you're gonna, that's just a great time for car buffs.
It is, and I think we see those cars and we get such a sense of nostalgia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, do you remember some of the PBS shows that intrigued you as a kid?
I remember Hercule Poirot. I just thought, wow, what's the deal with this French dude?
I couldn't even say that name until last year.
I was always, well, I had read Agatha Christie, and so I was really
Yeah.
fascinated. It's interesting when you read books to then see them brought to life, because they
Right,
don't
right.
always necessarily match your idea of what you think they looked like when
Yeah.
you were reading.